What's up, guys? It's Simon. So, I'm starting the YouTube Pagan Challenge, and I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this before, but I'm gonna be doing it slightly differently. So basically, what I'm doing is, instead of starting it in January, I'm starting it on Samhain. And so, the questions I'm gonna be moving around are the ones that pertain to the seasons or sabbats. So I'm kind of jumping forward to week 5 as my first week, and then the second week will be first week question, third week will be second week. It will be like that. So it's going to relatively be in order, except for those seasonal sabbat questions. I'm going to switch them because I'm not following the January to December timeline. So what I wanted to share with you is for each of those I'm going to be reading from my Book of the Craft that talks about what this time of year means for me. And so we're going to start off with Samhain. Well, I'm not going to show you the cover because he doesn't want me to. And yes, it's a he. Yes, he has a name, but he doesn't want me to divulge too much. He doesn't want to show his face, so to speak, and he doesn't want his name being revealed either. But this is the back of the book. It's 12 by 12. It is handmade. Not by me, but it is by someone who has a very positive, respectful, loving energy. So I trusted her in making this. And there is a ribbon bookmark that I added to it. This is just some extra that I just decided to tie in there. I might do something else with it, but for now that's what it's going to be. And this ribbon, I don't know if you can see it. There's some design work on it. This ribbon actually came from where'd it go? Uh-oh. I was gonna show you the jar, but it seems that I've lost it. Huh. That's weird. I know it's over here. I always have it over here. Oh, here it is. It fell down. Okay. So, this is a puny little bit that if you can see it, is lavender. Now I bought this at an antique shop. Yes, I said an antique shop. And it is lavender. It was labeled 10 ounces of lavender. It was filled about to the ridge, maybe just under here, you know? And I've been using this like crazy. I've even eaten some of it. I put some of it in the oatmeal. Oh, it's so good. If you haven't put lavender in your oatmeal, you really need to try that. But it wasn't very old. It smelled very fresh. It still had a wonderful fragrance to it. And that ribbon was tied somewhere around the neck of it. And I really loved the Victorian, antique look of it, so I kept it. And I knew even then, before I even had my book, that I wanted it to be a ribbon bookmark. So I'm gonna bring it up again so you can see the charm. That's a sea turtle. Now, I originally got that and I don't have them over here, but for some crystal beads, as kind of like, not necessarily prayer beads, but like meditation beads. I wanted it as a charm for that. I ended up switching the charm for a smaller one, and I decided to put that on here. Now, the gem on there is turquoise, but it's obviously not real. But it has that symbolism, and that's all that matters to me. And if you don't know, the sea turtle is my animal teacher, and it basically teaches me about balance and about shape-shifting on the emotional, mental level, and obviously physically in the astral realm. And being able to go between worlds, you know, the Fey world, the world of the Fey, the mundane world, the spirit world and the mundane world, all of those. I hope I'm speaking loud enough. I'm trying not to talk too loud so that way I'm interrupting Mom's show, but I hope that I'm talking loud enough where you can hear me on the video. And I just untied this. Oops. I don't want... Okay. There we go. So, I'm going to go to Samhain, and I'm going to read you some parts of it. Okay, so this is my Wheel of the Year page. You can't really see the writing too well, but that's not important. It just says Wheel of the Year. And it kind of looks like a sailor wheel. And this design was inspired by the Triquetra Wheel of the Year depiction. Now, it's definitely not the same thing. It is tweaked to my own design. So, over here we have the beginning of the wheel, Samhain, Yule, and blah 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 blah, all the way to Mabon. And you also can probably see the date, and I'm just going to show you from Samhain. So it has the Gregorian calendar, which is the calendar that we use every day, and then it used the Ogham calendar date as well, and that's for every Sabbat. Underneath, we go into the inner part of the wheel, and it has the second name for that Sabbat, between two pentacles. Then we go into another wheel of north, south, east, and west, and gnome, sylph, salamander, undine, each colored by the corresponding by the corresponding color of the element. Now I use brown instead of green for the color of earth, and so that's why where it says gnome, it has brown instead of green. The other three are the same, red for fire, yellow for air, and blue for water. But yeah, for me, the earth is brown, and the greenery comes from the brown. The soil is brown. A lot of the roots are brown. The tree trunks and wood are variations of brown. So that's kind of just where I see it. North, south, oh, I already said that. Yeah, so then you have the zodiac wheel, and this is accurate in corresponds to the Sabbats. So what that basically means is that Sagittarius and Capricorn are in the appropriate positions in regards to the wheel of the year. And then you can see of life, death, rebirth, that cycle of existence, I guess. And then you can see in here that I have the Triquetra. And it basically, this is like a, for lack of a better expression, a power of three symbol. So you have the three aspects of self, mind, body, and soul, unified by spirit, and you have air, earth, and water that are unified by fire. Air feeds the fire, excuse me, earth feeds the fire, and fire feeds off of air, and fire transforms water. And all of these are unified by the universal spirit, the cosmos, the goddess, the god, whatever you want to call it. I call it the Black Madonna, or sometimes just the Madonna. And so that's what the circle represents. So then we go into the title page of this section called the Sabbats and Esbats. Now this was a coloring book page, and I don't know where the book is right now because I'm moving stuff around and changing things in my room and cleaning things up and decluttering and all that. But this was one of those pictures, and I just thought it was so appropriate for a title page image because it had the sun and the phases of the moon, making me think of the Sabbats and Esbats. And so yeah, that's what that is. I don't know if you can see it, but I actually have gold and silver colored pencils, and I used gold here and silver for the moon. So, this is the Samhain page, and I'm going to turn you guys back around facing me, and I'm just going to read it to you, because I don't think you'll be able to read it too well, and I don't want to have you moving all over the place. So, I'll be right back. Alright, so, I'm just going to read to you the main section, and then I'll go over to the little bits and pieces of the page. So, it has the Samhain title, and then it says, Samhain is the witch's new year. It is the final harvest and when all of nature dies and goes through a transformation to be reborn. This is also the first time when the veil to the other world is at its thinnest, allowing communication between the spirits and witch to be more coherent. So that's my little blurb of what I believe Samhain is. Then I go into another blurb, a little section that's called magical workings, and these are the workings that I do during this time of the year. Enshadowment, which is my term for shadow work, spirit work, divination, garden gathering, making brews, making ink, and protective pumpkin lanterns, basically pumpkin carving. So, then I have, this isn't for every Sabbat, but I did add a quote, one of my own quotes, to this that I felt pertained to the Sabbat, and it's called, respect life, protect life, respect death, protect death. And what that basically means is, when you're respecting life, you're loving it, you're taking care of it, you're letting it be. When you're protecting life, you're preventing it from getting harmed. You're preventing it from prematurely dying. And I'm not going to go into how you can decide if something is going to prematurely die and how to stop and stuff like that. I'm going to let you use your own intuition for that. But what I really want to talk about is the respecting death and protecting death, because I'm sure that confuses a lot of people, because it's not really thought about or even talked about. How do you respect death? Well, just like you respect life. You let it happen. You let it be. Again, this involves using intuition to decide when is something allowed to die. Now, I'm not saying to be the master of killing something or letting it live. What I'm saying is survival of the fittest. That's what I'm referring to when I'm saying let something die or let something live. If there's an animal or some type of creature that is clearly struggling and not able to take care of itself, and you know that if you involve yourself, it will live, then it's up to you to do that something so it can live, because you know that it has a chance to live if you interact and help. And by you not doing something, you're actually disrespecting life. At least that's my belief. So, how do you respect death, besides letting it happen? Well, one of the things I do is I act as a psychopomp, and I will sing I will sing to the dying to the other world, or I'll sing the dead to the other world. For example, one time I was walking to the grocery store, and a rabbit was running across the street, and it got hit by a car. And so I ran over to it, sat my ass in the middle of the road. I mean, it was close to the curb of the road, and I sang it until its very last breath. I calmed it down, and it slowed its breathing very quickly, and it calmed itself. I mean, it became calm, and then it crossed over to the other world. And I felt its spirit leave, and it was one of the most beautiful experiences. And the town took care of the body relatively quickly. I'm going to say within probably 2 to 3 days. Another example is when we've had a lot of dead possums, so I will sing them to the other world too. I've sung a cat to the other world. So yeah, that's something that I do in reference to respecting death. How do you protect death? Well, that's a kind of tricky one to explain. But I guess one of the ways that you could protect death is if something's elderly and it's clearly dying. Don't try to resuscitate it. Don't disturb its body. Don't try and move it and try and feed it water or something like that. That's something that I've discovered, especially once I was younger and I was trying to do that. Bless my naive little heart. But I was trying to help revive bugs and give them water and stuff. And you can't revive a bug. You have to respect it and protect the death and let it die. But I didn't know that back then. So, that's the little quote. Then I have these Samhain correspondences, and basically what it is, it's like colors, herb, flower, plant, fruit, crystal, rune, tool, and deity. And so the colors that I associate for Samhain are black and orange. The herb is patchouli. The flower is the dandelion puff, and if you don't know what that means, that's the white orb, the seeds that fly off of the stem. The plant is pumpkin. The fruit is pomegranate. The crystal, did I say? Well, there's a crystal too. I don't know if I listed that category or not, but there's a crystal, and it's black obsidian. The rune is Iwaz, and which is from the Elder Futhark alphabet. And the tool is cauldron, and the deity is Hecate. And I was going to show you this, but I think I'll just read it because there are some things I don't want you to see. So, I don't know if you saw this when I was showing you the page, but I have some pumpkin seeds glued on here. And I plan on eventually getting some dried pomegranate seeds and adding those to this as well. So pumpkin seeds are, in my practice, I use them for starting a family or for blessing a new family member. So that would basically be a baby, or an adopted child. In the next page I have my Samhain salutation. I do a Sabbat salutation, obviously, for every Sabbat. Now that is private, so I won't be reading that to you. But then I have a little blurb about Hecate. So she's the goddess of witchcraft and spirits, protector of childbirth and labor, and she is an earth moon goddess. Altar decor is skull and bones, tombstone and or urn rubbings, photographs of the transcended, which is basically the deceased or your loved ones, dried leaves, nuts and berries, and harvest foods, so like your gourds, like that would be pumpkin and squash and gourds and stuff of that nature. Then I have I have these glue dots, and that's what I used for the pumpkin seeds. And I took one glue dot and I sprinkled some black obsidian crystal chips on it, and I stuck that in there. And I have a little blurb talking about black obsidian and what I use it for. So it brings about clarity and focus, and cuts through deception, used in divination as scrying mirrors, and it's good for enchantments, for bringing to surface things that are hidden. Then I also had this little Sabbat sketch. So basically what that means is I have this little sketch that I do for every Sabbat. And for this one I did a little pumpkin. And this is pumpkin, not pumpkin seeds. So what I associate for pumpkin is family, abundance, protection, tradition, and the matriarch. And the reason why I associate that is because pumpkin pie is a big staple in my family, especially during the harvest season, like Thanksgiving and even Christmas. And so it was always about bringing the family together for these meal times. And, you know, pumpkins are big, so it's great for abundance. They're carved for protection for Samhain from the spirits. And again, with the whole family, it brings about that tradition of eating the pumpkin pie. And the matriarchs, let's face it, in most families, the women do the cooking, so that's kind of why I associate the matriarch with pumpkin. And also with it being circular, being of euvonic, which is vaginal representation. You could also associate with the womb, especially since it has seeds inside. It would be a great womb representation. So after the Samhain salutation, I have the first of reed ritual, which I call the end of harvest. And I won't read you the whole thing, because that's kind of private, but I will read you some excerpts. So the feast for the first ritual is cooking a root stew with a dark grainy bread, and serve it with either pumpkin cider or pomegranate wine. And I'm going to link a video, I can't remember the name of the channel. I think it's like Woodwife Green. I believe she's the one who did the pomegranate wine video. So I'm going to link it below so that way you can see an easy way to make some for yourself. And then there's like you gather around the table and you do this blessing of the food, and then you eat and all of that. Now the activities that you do for the first of Reed, the end of harvest ritual, are make a garden dolly out of sticks, nuts, berries, grass, etc. for Hecate or whatever deity you work with, whether it be for the spot or period. To embody and protect your garden throughout the winter. Break some bread for the birds as a gratitude to nature. Now I'm actually going to be switching that to sprinkling birdseed, because I know at least with geese it's not good for you to be giving bread because it swells up in their body and can cause gaseous intestinal problems and digestion problems. So then we go into the second of Reed, which is the ritual of honoring the animals. And for those of you who don't know, the first of Reed is equivalent to the 29th of October, the second of Reed is equivalent to the 30th of October, and the third of Reed is equivalent to the 31st of October. So again, with that second of Reed, honor the animals, you would cook a stew with some gamey meat and serve with some dark grain bread, and either with cider, pumpkin cider or pomegranate wine. I am not a vegetarian, however I do plan on going to be pescatarian, so my gamey meat might be like wild caught salmon. Or maybe I have considered wanting to catch a squirrel and making like some squirrel stew or something, just for the experience, especially in reference to pagans and how they lived back then, catching their own sources of food. So again, you bless the food, do the little ritual and all that. Activities are leave a gratitude outside for the animals and animal spirits. That could be like dog food, cat food, animal treats. Just make sure it's something safe. Or you could also do birdseed again. Or peanuts for the squirrels. Leave a gratitude on your altar for your transcended pets. Now this is kind of where you could do the Samhain altar, ancestral altar, stuff like that. And when we put our animal, when Mum put down her cat today, not today, on the 14th of October, she bought a clay pot, and I kept the little instructions, and I plan on somehow incorporating that into that page as well. So third of Reed is honor your ancestors. So you cook an old family favorite dish or a dish that reflects your heritage and serve it either with pumpkin cider or pomegranate wine. And this time you bake some soul cakes. Again, bless the food, yada yada. This is where I took the sachet where the pumpkin seeds came in, the little seed pouch, and I stressed it up and made a pocket, and I put this little tag in there. And this is my recipe for, oops, it's upside down, for ancestor summoning oil. So I just put the recipe on this card so that way it's always in the book. Activities are tell family stories in front of a bonfire, leave gratitudes outside for the passing spirits, leave gratitudes on your altar for your ancestors. And then on the back I have photographs of the loved ones, both animal and human, and I will share these with you. Oops, so this is the first dog I ever knew in my life. It was Lady, and this is a young depiction of one of the cats, that we had to put down years ago. His name was Dudley. This is my grandmother. This is actually the second picture that I got of her. The first one unfortunately got destroyed at some point. And this is a very old picture of me sitting on the lap of my great-grandmother next to my great-grandfather. As you can tell, it's a Polaroid styled photograph. Oh, I don't think you can see them very well. And I loved that jacket. I'm not even gonna lie, it was one of my favorites. So that's all that I have of the Samhain and of those pictures. And yeah, that's what this year means to me. A time of reflection and a time of honoring. And I will be adding the jumping the besom ritual that I've done in a previous video, and the roof jumping as well in there on the 3rd of Samhain. And I'll also be adding the well, actually no, that's going to be on the 28th of October, so that wouldn't apply. Never mind. So yeah, that's what this time of year means to me. And thank you for watching, and tune in next week for the second YouTube Pagan Challenge question, which will be, how did you find your path? As always, thank you for watching, and blessed be my dear witchlings.